Greetings, this is Sister Rebecca, aka Holly Hood, and today I want to bring you The Curse of the Rich. That is today's message. It's a little bit noisy in the background, and I'm going to ask you in advance to please forgive me, but I've had to once again go to Starbucks and do a video. And most of you know that I'm always up and about, and that because of the nature of my work, I have to stay on the move. So even though I might find a stable place here and there, usually it's only temporary. So I have once again gone back out into the universe, and I want to thank Starbucks actually for their kindness to those of us who come and sit in their establishment all day and only have maybe one cup of coffee, and in some cases have nothing, but they still allow us to use the free Wi-Fi, and I've never felt that I was unwelcome at any of their establishments. So I want to just, say that it is a blessing to the homeless. It's a blessing to people that just need somewhere to work, and you're not pressured to spend money, because you can spend a lot of money here. Their prices are not cheap, but they are very kind and giving. And this is what today's message is about. So how appropriate that I would acknowledge them for this. Okay, so the powerful, rich classes of the societies of the world have violated the regulations that God gave for the care of the poor. It is time to know that the cries of the poor have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. The Lord has placed a check. Now this generation, they have something called G-checking. Okay, the Lord is G-checking the rich, because the inordinate love of property and power is a great evil, and it has caused the great evils of corruption, murder, and terrorism. This has resulted in the world due to the continued accumulation of wealth by one class and the poverty and degradation of another class. The power of the wealthy has become a monopoly, and the poor are now regarded and treated as inferior by their more prosperous brethren. And because of their despair and desperation, our society is demoralized, and this treatment of the poor has opened the door to crimes of every description. The regulations that God established are designed to promote social equality. These regulations are also designed to bless the rich no less than the poor. They would restrain avarice and disposition for self-exaltation, and would cultivate a noble spirit of benevolence by fostering goodwill and confidence between all classes. They would promote social order and stability of government. We are all woven together in the great web of humanity, and whatever we can do to benefit and uplift others will reflect in blessing upon ourselves. There are many who urge with great enthusiasm that all should have an equal share in the temporal blessings of God. But this was not the purpose of the Creator. A diversity of conditions is one of the means by which God designed to prove and develop character. With insufficient suffering results in the lack of character. Those of us who have suffered in this lifetime, we tend to be better people when we get on our feet, because we have experienced both sides of the coin. If you've never suffered, then it's very hard for you to have compassion for others, because you don't even know what that is. You've always had, and people have always been, you've always been on the receiving end. Yet, the Lord has intended that those with worldly possessions shall regard themselves merely as the stewards of His goods. That means that whatever you have, you were entrusted by God to get it, so that you could have stewardship over it, so that you would be the one who would make sure that others have. To those of us whom much has been given, much is required. His goods, as entrusted, is a means to be employed for the benefit of the suffering and the needy. And this is why we have charities, because this is what the Lord has intended for those who have stewardship over his wealth, to create charitable things that they can then turn around and bless those who do not have it. There's a reason you were given this wealth, not for yourself, not for the next Louboutins. Christ has said that we shall have the poor always with us as his representatives. He has placed them among us to awaken our hearts to the love that he feels towards the suffering and oppressed. Pity and benevolence, or an act of cruelty and neglect toward them, is regarded the same as if it were done to him. If the law given by God for the benefits of the poor of the land had been continued to be observed by all the regulations that he put in place, how different would our present condition of the world be, both morally, spiritually, and temporarily? And there would have been no such widespread destitution as we now see in many lands. It wouldn't exist, people. If the people who had power and the money, who have been, designated as the caretakers, had done their job and followed their godly assignment, then we wouldn't have the poverty in the world that we have today. Now, before this probation period closes, the Lord commands that those who are rich in his present world would not be arrogant, nor put their hope in their wealth, which is so uncertain, but put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. They should do good and be rich in good deeds and continue to be generous and willing to share with the poor. And this is according to the regulations of God, that they too may take hold of the life that is truly life. Now, everything I'm telling you can be found in 1 Timothy 6:17 through 19, Galatians 2:10. In the ongoing investigative judgment, because that's what we're going through, the believers are being judged on how they relate to their daily economic activities and administrative matters. God has commanded the children of Israel not to plow with an ox and a donkey yoked together. Deuteronomy 20:10, do not be unevenly yoked, because an ox is a clean animal while the donkey is unclean. Lamentations 11:3-4. While each is useful, yet they should not be yoked together. This law is teaching the children of God the principle of separation from worldly principles. While we may use, and this is very important to bear in mind, the water cannot run both hot and cold. It will either eventually become all cold, or you will have to keep it all hot. But it won't be both. You can't. And it also cannot be clean and unclean. Nothing can be clean and unclean. It's either clean or it's dirty. Okay, so while we may use the world as the Israelites used the unclean donkey, we are not to yoke ourselves up with the evil of this world. Ungodly business men and women often use methods of conducting their business affairs that a Christian would not and could not use without compromising his Christian integrity, folks. And this is why when I meet people, I meet so many of you who want to get into this music game, and I have to tell you the truth. I have to tell the truth. I cannot lie and tell you that, it's an easy game and that you're going to go through it without any type of demonic interference, because it is of the devil. And there are many people who are in it for all the wrong reasons, and their motives and methods of doing business are not clean. So how can you come out of it unscratched? How can you come out of it clean if you've went through the dirty thing? It's like dumping yourself in a bath of tar and expecting to come out without any tar on you. So, their methods of conducting business affairs are definitely unchristian. Now let's talk about carrying out personal issues, or speaks, or listening to idle words. A lot of you love to entertain idle gossip and things that are not even edifying or uplifting. Sometimes you've got to drop those friends. One of the main reasons that I had turned off my phone for months, I had my phone off from February up until July, because the telephone became the hellophone. Every time I picked it up, here's someone on the other end giving me this unedifying conversation, which not only was it not pleasant to my ears, it was unpleasant for them as well, because here they are lamenting about something or just gossiping about someone else, and I did not want to hear it. So I had to find a way to avoid encountering that. And you don't know when your phone rings what's going to be on the other end of it. That's why you answer it, because you don't know. And a lot of times once you do find out, you want to hang up. And as the message of John the Baptist went out in the spirit and the power of the prophet Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and to the disobedient to the wisdom, those, who are disobedient to the wisdom that they have. Once you know a thing, then it's no excuse. You know it. You've been given the wisdom of the righteous. And so, in Luke 1:17, it says, prepare the people for the Lord prepared a people for their first advent of Christ. And this message is also coming to you in the spirit and the power of Elijah, who was the father of that day. And he was, designated by God to give his message as the one and only true God, and according to the word of Jesus Christ. And that's in 1 King 18-20, John 17:1-3. So we must flee from idolatry. That's 1 Corinthians 10:14, and return to him in true repentance and humility. And that's Malachi 4:5-6, and then Luke 3:4-6, and worship and serve him only by becoming obedient to all, not some, not the ones just the ones we like, but all his commandments and decrees, as we wait for the second coming of his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. Matthew 4:10 and 1 Thessalonians 1:8-10. So where am I going with this? Well, I'm saying that those of you who have, stop being selfish, because you were not blessed to be a blessing solely to yourself. You have to look about and see what it is that you can do, even in your immediate circle. Some of you prefer to just drop a few dollars in the mail to help the poor in other countries, and that's good, because you are doing something. You are sharing and spreading the wealth. You are a good steward. But there's also people right here at home that could use help, and a lot of you need to stop turning a cold heart towards the needy and become compassionate, because just as they are, so can you too. Remember, the Lord, he lifteth up and he bringeth down. And I think many people forget this. I briefly was at a shelter, and I was supposed to be going in there to stay while I search for more permanent housing. And the director of this place was the most aloof, cold, abrasive person that I couldn't believe she would be in a social services position. And she was obviously very well taken care of. You could see by her grooming and her choice of attire that she liked nice things, and she took care to make sure that she had them. But her manner towards her charges was very wicked almost. And she was the reason that I declined staying there, because I didn't want to be under the rule of such a horrible person. I just knew that I would be under this oppression of this person, and I just refused. And there are a lot of people who work in social services who have that manner. They have assume that because they are in a position in life that they are now better than those who are under them, but they do not realize that the same way God put them up there. How many times have you seen people who were in one state at present, and then you run into them years later, and they have been elevated. They have come up, as this generation likes to say. So you can come up. People come up, and people also fall. So keep that in mind when you are dealing with those who are less fortunate, because one day you may have to go to that very person for help. Okay, this ends today's message. God bless you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to your comments. Bye.